She is with Rainbow Bible Ranch. So thank you so much for coming and being here with us. You can just turn that right on. Yeah. Perfect. Sounds good. Okay, Robin, can you tell me about yourself, how you grew up, kind of part of your testimony to that led you here today?
Sure. So Robin Reinhold is my name, and I grew up on a ranch in the southern Black Hills, and I was just blessed to be part of a great family, mom and dad who loved the Lord, and grew up riding horses, herding cattle. We raised cattle and horses, and it was just wonderful. Went to a Christian school and through my high school years, and just very thankful for that. At a young age, I felt the Lord's calling to me to become a part of full-time ministry of some sort, and didn't know what that would entail, but the Lord had it all figured out for me. So.
That is so cool, and that's something. So I also grew up in a very, very similar situation.
Yes.
My parents led me and my brothers. They grew our faith, and they really gave us the backbone, and then we eventually kind of took that into our own faith and really made it become our own. But something that I heard is I played college, and I transferred eventually to a Christian college where I played softball for them, and we all gave our testimonies as a part of kind of team bonding, getting to know each other, that kind of thing, and kind of breaking down those walls so we could really support one another.
Sure.
And something that I heard, and maybe you can somewhat attest to this, obviously everyone's story is a little bit different, and I never heard it like this, because like when you talk about giving your testimony, sometimes you are picturing this big awe moment where you met the Lord, and that's like when you gave your life to Christ. And that's something for me. I'm so blessed that I grew up knowing Christ from day one, and my parents instilled that into everything we did, every decision that we made. And that's something that kind of, when I would give my testimony to my teammates, I mean, some of these girls had in awe testimonies, kind of like where it just really hit them. And for me, I was always like, well, I feel like my story's kind of boring, and I felt like, how can I reach people with my testimony? But something that my coach said is, she said that she prays for her kids to have boring testimonies. And I have never heard it put that way, but ever since I've heard of that, I was like, that is so true. Like I pray that someday if I get married and have kids, that my kids have a boring testimony. And obviously everyone's story is so different and so unique and so special, but just the way the Lord works in that through all of those different, from generations upon generations, I just think that that is so cool. And obviously people who have been through it all, they're able to reach so many people as well. But I just think it's so cool that to see the Lord be able to fulfill families through generations. So I just think that's so cool, and I think that's a huge testament to you guys and your family as well.
Yeah, thank you, and glory to God. I mean, I think like you say, the people with the quote unquote big testimonies or whatever, they share what God saved them out of. But when you grow up the way we did, we can just be thankful for what God saved us from. That He preserved us from getting involved in things that we shouldn't have,
Exactly, yeah. And that's something, so my brothers and I were reading through the Bible in the year, and I have two brothers, and they're my best friends, a huge part of my life, and I never really understood the purpose behind, like when you're reading through it, I mean, especially in the Old Testament, Genesis, and when you start reading through all the names, and you're kind of like, okay, how do these correlate? I know they're important, they're in the Bible, but how did it correlate? I don't really totally get it. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Awe of God. Have you ever heard that book?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, it's a really good book, and I heard a sermon on that actually when I was driving here, and it was talking about how the Lord's fulfillment through generations upon generations, and showing, and I think now that I'm reading back on that kind of stuff, it's showing I guess you could say how He's worked through generations for the good and the bad, and how your decisions today affect your family for generations to come. And I think that was a huge light bulb moment for me, just because it's really very, very true.
Yes, the faithfulness of God, so true. And it talks about that in the Old Testament to the third and fourth generation and beyond. And I'm just so thankful that the Lord has brought me through that, and that I do have a boring testimony.
Exactly, yeah, and I think that it's a weird way to put it, but I think it's
Right.
also a good way to put it. Like
It
really makes sense, or at least it really makes sense to me.
Yes.
So you wear a lot of hats, you do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
What does your daily, day-to-day life typically look like?
So in the summertime, of course, we have Rainbow Bible Ranch, and it's just extremely busy. It just starts out feet on the floor, and you're running and going, and we get about 55 plus kids come through every week, and so of course that involves a lot of food, a lot of food preparation, and so we have kind of a team effort of doing that. Some people on the ranch do the breakfast, others do the dinners and suppers, and everybody kind of has their niche in their area that they are expertise in, so we share that responsibility. I do a lot of the music with the kids. Actually, I write songs for the theme song each summer for the kids to sing. So we do music with them every single day, and do a lot of gardening, a lot of photography. I ride with the kids whenever I get a chance, which isn't as often as I would like, but it's fun too. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know that your family is very involved in the Rainbow Bible Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of explain to me how that works, like all of the things that your family does, how you kind of divvy up those responsibilities. Do you have staff? How does that all work?
Right. So five of our 6 kids, we have 6 children. Our second daughter is married and lives back in Virginia, but all 5 of our other kids are on the place with us, and we're so thankful for that, because I don't think we could do what we do without them. They're just an amazing team, and so our kids are the wranglers. They handle all the horses, and they know the horses. They know they can match the right kid up with the right horse. They're just so good at that. They're careful with attacking up and making sure that they don't get sores, and that long hard days in the hot sweaty sun, that they just really take good care of those horses and the kids as they take the rides out. They're also just a big part of the whole fun operation. We play capture the flag with the kids a couple nights a week, and our kids are right out there with them, sharing with them spiritually, just pouring into them. So it's definitely a family ministry. And then we do have other staff that come in, about 5, 6, 7, 8, kind of depends on the year. Other young people that come in. Most of our staff are kids that have grown up coming to Rainbow, and so we all wear red shirts on Monday nights and Friday nights when the kids come and when they go home, and so we call the staff our red shirts. And so we're blessed that most of our red shirts are kids that have grown up coming to camp and always had a dream of one day being a red shirt, and we know those kids like their family, and they really are like family to us, so we're thankful for them. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool, and I think that that's a huge testament to what you guys are doing too. If you have kids who are wanting to come back and be involved with it and share and help kids have the same experience that they had,
Sure.
as it continues. So I think that is really cool. So outside of the Rainbow Bible Ranch, what does your day look like? Or not day, but what else do you guys do on the ranch, or kind of outside of the ranch as well?
So we are a working family ranch, just like so many other families that are here today and here at the stock show visiting. We raise quarter horses and Hereford cattle and a little wheat and a little hay, and so yeah, life is just busy for us. We have calving season coming up starting in March. Feeding the cows every day in the winter, and checking water and haying and just all those normal ranch activities is what we do. And of course, I do a lot of cooking for our crew, and as I said, we have 5 of the 6 of our kids are still on the ranch, and so I take care of them yet.
A little bit and a lot of everything, it sounds like.
It is.
So what's your favorite meal to cook?
Oh boy. I love it when the boys offer to cook steak on the grill.
I feel like my mom would say the same thing, except for she also is the one who runs the grill.
Okay.
So.
No, I love cooking a variety of foods, and I love serving beef. Of course, it's what we raise, and so I love serving that to our kids and the kids that come to camp. Yeah, it's fun to share with them the product of the ranch, and we raise all of our own beef, and we share that with the kids. A lot of times our own pork as well, and yeah, teach the kids the nutritional value of beef. Years ago, there was kind of a plug for the whole vegetarian thing, and I think, of course, there still is, but years ago we would have a number of kids come through that say, well, I'm vegetarian, I can't eat meat, and we don't see that as much anymore. So it's fun to see that. Yeah, just the importance of that good protein and the zinc, iron, and protein, the zip that's in beef, and passing that along to the kids.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, because I feel like, honestly, the more I expand and get to know more communities and more areas, especially that aren't agriculture based, I think it's amazing, and it kind of boggles my mind how many people don't know where their food comes from. And
right.
I mean, there's only 2% of the U.S. population that feeds our country and feeds the world, and I think that's amazing, because there is only 2%, and it is a hard-working job. It's a lot of late nights, early mornings, hot days, cold days. There's no days off kind of thing. So I think that is really cool that you guys are showing these kids where their food comes from, that it doesn't just come from the back of the grocery store. It comes from a farm and people who take care of those animals each and every single day.
Yes, and it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of these kids. Like you say, they think, oh, the food just comes from the grocery store. No, this is our milk cow, Dandy, and she provides milk, and these are the chickens. This is where we get our eggs, and just on and on. And like I said, the beef and the pork. We even have a garden there that we, of course, don't raise everything for the camp, but lettuce and radishes and some of those things that the kids can actually be a part of. And if they're so inclined, we don't push them that way, but if they're so inclined and have an interest in gardening and want to help with that, they're welcome to. So that's fun to share too.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And I think it's cool showing the kids kind of the behind the scenes and how well all of the animals in the Western and agriculture industry are treated. I know that, we have some family friends, Matt Sharping with Phenom Genetics. I mean, he raises PBR bulls and PRCA bulls, and I'm pretty sure, I try to eat very healthy, but I'm pretty sure those animals have a way better food regimen than I ever will, because everything is completely portioned to the vitamins, minerals, protein, all that stuff that they need. And it's amazing, and it's really no different compared to when you're just raising beef or pork or that kind of stuff on your home farm, just how well those animals are treated, and showing that to kids, because then hopefully it kind of starts breaking any stigmas that people have about the industry.
Yes, because there's definitely enough other messages out there that farmers and ranchers don't care for their animals and they don't treat them kindly, and there's organizations out there that have put out videos of animals being mistreated by farmers, or so-called mistreated by farmers and ranchers, and so it's good to let kids see a real working family ranch, and they see, and it's real life for these kids. They sometimes we'll have an animal die on the ranch, and it might be an old cow, or one time we had a horse that one of our wranglers was riding years ago, and she just collapsed underneath him as he was riding. He was loping across the pasture, and she just went down, crashed, and she was dead, and she ended up having a heart attack. She had a snake bite as a filly, and we had given her an anti-venom shot for that, and come to find out that damages their heart. And we hadn't known that originally, but that's probably what happened. But yeah, so the kids get to experience, they get to see real life in action, and they get to see the hard stuff as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool too. And I think someone who's been a part of the industry my whole entire life, it really never gets easier. Those type of things, those heartbreaking things. Right. I remember that my dad is a PRCA steer wrestler, and we would always follow my dad around on our little ponies in the Grand Entry and that kind of thing. And I remember that my pony, he had a heart attack right after we got out of the arena. He had a heart attack right when I was on him, and looking back, that's still one of the saddest days of my life. And it's still one of those things that no matter how long you're in the industry, it doesn't mean it hurts any less, but it's just something that I think is a really good life skill to learn how to deal with that, because life isn't always perfect, believe it or not.
Yes. And I think that it prepares us for other things in life.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to handle. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so how did the Rainbow Bible Ranch, how did that get started?
So back in 1979, my husband Larry and he had two younger brothers, and his brother Lyle came to him and came to the family and said, "Hey, I'd like to start a Bible camp, a Christian camp somewhere in western South Dakota." Not necessarily thinking right there on the ranch, but somewhere in western South Dakota. And he asked the family if they would support him and help him and back him up, and they agreed to. "Yes, we will help you do this." Well, shortly after that, there was an incident on the ranch where there was a drowning, and a big storm came up while the boys were out on a lake, on the dam, on the ranch, and their boats were capsized, and both of Larry's brothers and another friend drowned in that incident. And of course it was very traumatic, very hard time for the family. But after that, Larry's dad said, this was Lyle's dream, and we said we would back him up, and we need to back him up. We need to follow through on what we said we were going to do. And so they did, and that very summer they actually broke dirt and started building the camp building there on the ranch. And the following summer was the first year of camp, and we had 27 kids come, and now we have around 400 kids come every summer. The Lord just led the family to go ahead and start and do it right there on the ranch, and just a neat story about that. They were looking at land up in the hills thinking, well, it's a camp, it has to have a pine tree and a creek running through it, right? And that's what you think of as a camp. But one Sunday they were in church, and a tourist came and sat behind them in church, and the time came to meet each other, and Larry's dad turned around and shook hands with this tourist family and said, "What do you do?" And the guy said, "I'm a Christian camping consultant." He said, "We need to talk." And the guy came out for dinner after church, and he said, "Why are you looking elsewhere? You have everything you need right here. This is amazing. This is wonderful. We're out on the prairie." And he said, "Just use what you have." And so that's what we did.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess another question is kind of going off of that too. What is your heart and your mission and your purpose behind the Rainbow Bible Ranch?
So we have a passion for sharing the agricultural way of life with kids, and to teach them, as we were talking about, where our food comes from, teach them what ranch life is all about, give them the experience of riding horses. But ultimately our biggest passion is to share Jesus Christ with them, because it is He that changes lives and changes hearts. And so we get to just plant those seeds and water seeds that have been planted, and watch how the Lord uses that and uses us and uses Rainbow to point people to truth and to see Jesus and give their hearts to Him.
That is so cool. I think that is just so awesome. Mm-hmm. So where would you like to see Rainbow Bible Ranch? Where would you like to see it go in the next 10, 20 years? What's your hopes and your dreams for it?
We're filled to capacity.
That's a good problem.
It is a good problem. And people often ask us, well, do you want to get bigger? And the answer is no. We really don't want to get bigger, because we like the personal aspect of it. We like the one-on-one time that we get with the kids. We get to know these kids when they're here. So we have 50, 55 kids there per week, and we get to know their names. We get to know where they're from and just build relationships with them. And it's more personal and one-on-one. It's that small family ranch atmosphere that makes Rainbow unique, and that draws kids to it. That just seeing our whole family working together is even just a good example to them, and a good inspiration to a lot of kids. So to answer that question, we really don't want to get bigger. I think continue on with what God has called us to do until He changes, or God will not change, but if He changes our direction, then we want to be open to that. But right now, I think we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that is so cool. And that's something that is so huge in taking those next steps in your faith is your community and the community that you surround yourselves with. And for you, who has been that person or those people that have really helped you get to where you are today?
Boy, I would say our parents, probably. I am just so thankful to have a mom and dad that support us in all that we have done. And Larry's mom and dad, of course, were just huge, as the founders of Rainbow Bible Ranch. And they've definitely shaped us and molded us to who we are today. And our families, Larry still has a sister here, and I have a sister and 2 brothers yet. And so, yeah, very, very much supportive of our families, and then we just have a huge community. Larry and I were just talking just before this about how blessed we are. Such a huge circle that God has given us of brothers and sisters in Christ, and just that family, and we get so much encouragement and support from that. We sure appreciate that.
That is really cool, yeah. So how did Rainbow Bible Ranch, how did you guys get your name? How did you decide on that?
So it's a neat story. The day that the boys died, in that little storm that came through, and the wind that capsized their boats, while that was going on, our neighbors were driving. The ranch, the headquarters is about 1.5 miles off of our main road, but one of our neighbors was driving past our place at that time, and they saw a rainbow over this big stock dam there on the ranch, and they stopped and took a picture of it, unbeknownst to them what was actually happening at that time. And a week later, the day of the funeral, they came home and there was another double rainbow over the ranch. And another week later, there was another double rainbow. Not a cloud in the sky, but there was another double rainbow. And it was just such a symbol, as in Scripture, the covenant that God gave to Noah, that he would never flood the earth again with water. And to us, to the family, it was that promise of God that he was with us, that he was faithful, that he was watching, caring, guiding, helping through some very dark times. So Rainbow Bible Ranch, the 3 words just indicate what we are.
I think that is really, really cool. I love that story. So going on the ranch, you guys have a lot going on. So when kids sign up for a camp, what does it look like for them to go to a camp? What are they doing? What's all going on at that ranch?
Okay, so a typical day would be the kids get up about 6:45 in the morning.
Early birds!
And we give them each a growth guide. So it's got their quiet time, their devotion times all in here, and we just encourage them to go out by themselves and just have some quiet time with the Lord. And a lot of them many of them are from towns and cities, and they don't get that opportunity to walk out the door and go find a quiet place to spend with the Lord. And so they read some scripture and read the devotional for that day and have a prayer time. And then we gather at 7:20 for flag raising, 7:30 is breakfast, and 8 o'clock, the first batches of kids are out on horseback and riding with the wranglers, and then kind of do a rotation of different groups at different times to go out and ride. And they go for 1.5-hour ride. And we don't do trail rides on the ranch. We teach the kids how to ride, how to handle their horse. And so they go out and ride side by side. It's none of the nose to tail stuff,
the real life stuff.
Yes, it is. Then everybody gathers in at noon for dinner. Afternoon is generally spent in the swimming hole. A lot of kids are enjoying that. We might have to finish up a little bit of riding and do some other activities, and then supper is at 5. We also have a zip line. Of course, there's frogs to chase. Little boys love doing that, looking for snakes and frogs and that kind of stuff. We bring some colts in and let them halter break some baby colts to lead. Some of the older kids, they can work with some yearling colts as well. Then on Fridays we do a little rodeo in the afternoon, and the parents come out at 3 o'clock and watch the kids riding the rodeo and just do like a little pole bending pattern and then a goat race, calf race thing. So it's not your traditional no broncs or anything in our little rodeo.
Darn it! Yeah. They can break the yearly, the 2-year-olds.
Right. Yeah. So the days are packed full. The kids go home tired. A lot of times they're asleep before they get to our mailbox. That's what we hear from parents. So yeah.
I think that is really cool, and what you guys are doing, obviously there's a lot going on, and that means there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys are all taking care of, which oftentimes brings up a lot of challenges. What is one of those challenges that you face every day, every year, every camp? Kind of what are some of the challenges that you face?
Probably one of our biggest challenges would be getting our staff that we need. And we've been really blessed in the last few years, but kids move on and move on to other things, and like I say, we've been blessed having kids that return year after year, but then it comes time for them to move on to other things, and so just raising up that next level of staff, that can be a challenge. As a family, with the ranch, the working ranch aspect and the ministry of Rainbow, there's just that balance, trying to balance things. Okay, somebody needs to go cut hay, somebody needs to go bale. Okay,
right, yeah, real life still keeps going on.
And so balancing that is difficult. Keeping the colts ridden, starting the 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and riding them. Can't take a 3 or 4-year-old out on a ride with a bunch of kids, because if you have something go haywire, you need to be mounted on a really good horse. And so that's not necessarily the time to be training on a young colt. So yeah, just balancing the ranch and the camp, that can be a big challenge sometimes.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of challenges, but the whole concept of the ranch, there's a lot of rewards. What is one of those rewarding things that you look at it and you're like, this is why I do this, this is why I wake up at 6:45 every single day to do it?
Yeah. Thursday nights we have a banquet for the kids, and then we do a little talent program, and after that we give an invitation for the kids to just kind of put it all together, the things that we've been teaching, things they've been learning over the week, and here's your chance to make a decision. Would you like to follow Jesus and let him be the Lord of your life? And so Thursday nights are amazing, and it's towards the end of the week, we're tired, and you're just exhausted, but then you see these kids come forward and just opening their hearts to the Lord and praying and putting their trust in him, making that decision personally to follow Christ. That is the most rewarding thing by far. That's what gets us up in the morning, keeps us going, keeps us doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. And that's something that I mean, you guys have the opportunity to do that every single day with your camps and that kind of thing, but even people who aren't involved in those type of camps where that's their opportunity to do it every day, I think that there's always situations in life, whether you're a janitor at McDonald's or you're the CEO of a high-up company, there's always a chance to be a light. There's always a chance to make a difference in someone's life, and I think that that's just clearing your mind to be able to see those people in need and being able to see and kind of, I think in a society where you're very self-centered, self-focused, where am I going, what am I going to do next, it's easy to kind of put on those blinders, but just opening that up and being able to see and lend a helping hand when it's needed, I think is so important, and really you're able to make a difference in any way, but what you guys do, you're able to make a difference every single day, and I just think that that is really, really cool. And beside camps, you guys also put on other things. I was looking through your pamphlet and stuff. You also put on other things. So when camps aren't going on, what do you guys have going on?
Right, we have a very full schedule. We have monthly events. In January, we had our steak and cake event. It's a Saturday morning event, sirloin steak and homemade pancakes, and people come and it's just a good time of fellowship. We'll have somebody share a testimony, and it's just a fun time. And then our February event is just coming up next Friday. We have a Valentine's banquet, and anyone is invited to come and take part in that. And these are not fundraiser events. It's just to minister
building
to people.
That community.
Yes, fellowship and encouragement. is our goal. And then in March we have a wild game feed, and it's kind of a competition thing. People will bring their favorite wild game dish and share and,
that's cool. That's fun.
Win prizes and stuff, and have a special speaker for that. April we have our ribs and brisket roundup, and just serving beef to people there again, and just good fellowship, good time. November we have a pie auction. December we have our birthday in the barn, just a live nativity, worshipful time at the barn, celebrating the meaning of Christmas. And October, hayride. September we have our Men's Day event. Usually 70, 80, 90 guys come out for the whole day. Good teaching, fellowship, skeet shooting, riding, all kinds of activities. It's a great day.
Yeah, you guys stay busy, that is for sure. So for someone who's watching or listening and wants to get involved, either sending their kids to one of your guys' camps or going to one of your guys' many events that you put on, how can they look into that and learn more about that?
So we have a great website. It's called rainbowbibleranch.org, and there's all the information. There's lots of pictures. You can kind of get a feel for what the place is like by looking at that. And there's a place that people want to give to the ministry or sign up their kid for camp. It's all right there, so that's a great place. We also have a booth here at the stock show. It's right down the line here, and we've got lots of information there as well.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that too. So Rodeo Rapid City, they always have the rodeo zone, and I was talking to you guys earlier. You guys have had a booth here for a really long time. Right. What does that mean to be able to come to Rodeo Rapid City and have a booth and be able to talk with so many different people that are walking through the rodeo zone? Yeah, we think it's just a great opportunity, and we love seeing so many friends from near and far. Some people that we only see once a year here at the stock show, and it's really special to us. And making new friends and new kids that want to sign up for camp, and we get kids that we may not know that where the connection was, but they'll come to camp in the summertime and they'll say, "How did you hear about Rainbow?" "We saw you at the stock show," and so it's fun to make those connections. Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure that's why you keep wanting to come back year after year after year
Sure.
and be a part of this fantastic event.
Yes.
Looking back at, I didn't catch, how many years have you guys been doing the Rainbow Bible
46.
Ranch? 46, wow,
Yes.
That is so cool.
Yes.
So looking back, since you've been involved and been a part of it, what is one of those moments, what's one of your favorite moments looking back?
So Larry and I have been married for 33 years, and my favorite moments. I just would have a hard time even isolating one, honestly.
It's just every day, there's something
really
better.
Yeah, honestly, Donnae, I just feel so blessed and so thankful that God has allowed me to do something that is my life and my passion. Growing up on a ranch and loving horses and riding, and then feeling that call from Him to love people and to share with people, and then how God brought that all together and brought Larry and I together to work as partners in not only ranching but in ministry and sharing with people. I feel so richly blessed, and I am so thankful to God.
That is so cool, yes. And this is one of my favorite questions. I always love getting to know. So how did you and Larry meet? What's your guys' story?
So we actually go way back. His dad, Larry, and his family used to sell Hereford bulls. And back in the early 70s, I believe, my dad bought bulls from his dad. So we were much younger then, needless to say. And I don't remember actually meeting Larry until I was 13, and I went to the very first retreat that they had at Rainbow Bible Ranch. And that's when I first remember meeting him. Of course, I'm 9 years younger than him, so there wasn't any romance by any means there. But we kind of gradually over the years got to know each other. And so, yeah, we go way back. And then in 1991, after I had gone to college out in California and graduated and came back to South Dakota, and then the Lord just caused our paths to keep crossing over and over, and we realized that He was putting us together. And so we were married in December of 1991. So just celebrated our 33rd anniversary.
Congratulations, and the rest is history.
That's right.
Okay, so instead of seeing one of your favorite moments, what is one of your favorite events that you guys put on? Or age group to work with during the camps, kind of along those lines.
Yeah, I really love all of the age groups, but I would have to say one of my favorites is our Legacy 1 camp. It's for 11 to 13-year-olds, so the middle school years. And a lot of people don't like those years. They say the kids are hard at that age, and we just think the opposite. We love that age. The kids are so
influential at that
age.
Yeah.
So influential, so teachable. They're just starting to spread their wings a little bit, they're searching and looking, and just to be able to guide them in the truths of God's Word is where it's at. Yeah, love that age.
Yeah, that is so cool. So tell me about your family. You guys are all very involved in the Rainbow Bible Ranch. So tell me about your family and what that family dynamic looks like and working together alongside each other.
Sure. So I mentioned our second daughter, Molly, is married and lives in Virginia, has 2 little boys, so we're grandparents now, and we love that. And our oldest daughter, Rachel, is there on the ranch with us, and she and her husband, Seth, have been married for a little over a year, and they both work with us there on the ranch. And then our son Danny is 25, and he's just a great part of the ranch as well. He did welding school, the Northern Plains Welding School, and so he can do that, and he's very mechanical. Caleb is 22, and he's a cowboy. He loves to ride and train colts, and he does a lot of that for us. And then Julia is 19. She's also on the ranch yet. She's looking at some other opportunities here, but her heart and her passion are the ranch and the ministry. And she's also very good at riding and training. And then our youngest is Kirsten, and she will be 17 next month, and she's a junior. We've homeschooled all of our kids, so I'm down to 1 in homeschooling. And so she's also a cowgirl and a rider, and all the kids are so good at working with kids. It's all, they've grown up with camp ministry and working with kids, and they're very good at it. They know how to build relationships with kids. And so it's not that we don't have our struggles or our disagreements and our challenges relationally or whatever every family does, but it's very rewarding to work together as a family. Yeah.
That is so cool. I know I'm really close with my family, and we don't obviously work together. We have a family farm and stuff, but we're all starting to go our separate directions in our way of life, or I guess our paths in life are all starting to kind of diversify, I guess you could say. But what is that legacy you want to leave for your family and for generations to come?
Legacy is one of our favorite words. We have our Legacy 1 camp, which I told you about, and our Legacy 2 camp, which is a 2-week-long camp for teenagers who have been there before. And then we do a Legacy 3 Bible study for the older kids and some of our staff. So legacy is a huge word in us, and I think a song that comes to my mind is one that Steve Green used to sing, "May all who come behind us find us faithful." And I would like to leave a legacy that our kids will just continue to walking in faithfulness and obedience to the Lord and His Word, seeking truth, the truths of God's Word, and sharing that with people and pointing people to Jesus. And that's where change happens. You look in our political world and you see trying to change policies and getting a new president, and I believe it's important for us to be involved in that, but I also believe that true change and true impact has to start in the heart, and it's Jesus. It's only Jesus that can change the heart. So.
Yeah, and we were kind of just talking about that as we were like walking on stage, is living different from the world, and sometimes the news is overwhelming sometimes with all the negativity, but there really are so many amazing people and good people out there that would give you the shirt off of their back. But I think that it's just living different from the world, and I think that really stands out. And even if you're not necessarily having a conversation with someone about the Lord, about Jesus and in their walk with Christ, but I think it's just living different and showing I guess last year I was Miss Rodeo Minnesota, so I was able to reach a lot of people and talk with a lot of people.
Right.
And for myself, something I put on every single one of my autograph sheets is Jesus is the key to true joy, because I think we live in a world with a lot of darkness and a lot of sadness sometimes, and it gets really heavy, but choosing to live with joy and happiness it's really a choice, because there's so many things to be grateful for, and there's so many things that you can look out at and be like, where would I be without God? Where would I be? Because and I think just even someone who I just get to meet, or last year that I got to just meet for 1 minute, getting to know their name, that's something that I wanted them to remember. I wanted them to be like what made her different? And then it's Jesus. Jesus really is the key to true joy, true happiness, and doesn't mean life is perfect by any means, but it just allows you to have that something to look forward to. And I think that's where you guys are not only changing kids' lives, but you are changing their eternity, and you're changing hopefully their families to come. And that's where I'm really big on like the generations and that kind of thing, because I really am very passionate about the choices you make today really do affect your family for generations and generations to come. And that's something that you guys are doing every single day. You guys are really changing kids' eternities and people's eternity. And I mean, there's really nothing better than that.
That's right. And so many people look for that joy, and I love that line that you write, that so many people look for that joy and that satisfaction and that peace in the wrong places. You know, going down to the bar, or in drugs or alcohol or whatever, to try to fill that vacuum that we all have. And only Jesus can fill that, and like you say, give true joy and true peace and eternal life with him. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, and that's something too, like I feel like people are often like searching for something, because I believe there's always, if you don't have God in your heart, there's always some sort of little void that's missing, whether people notice it or not. And they're always searching for something to fill that, but they never know what is, and they try all these different things, and they're like, oh, it's still not, I'm still not getting it. But then, I mean, obviously, hopefully, at some point, someone plants a seed, and they begin to learn more about God and grow their relationship and trust in Him, and that's where that void is filled. And I think that is something that obviously you guys are doing, is you're really more than planting a seed. Like, you're really not only planting the seed, but you're helping them grow even within that time. So I guess kind of this is a little bit sidetracked too off of that, but going to your camps, how long are those camps typically for kids to go to, or are there different times?
Yeah, so most of them are Monday through Friday. Most of the kids come in the evening on Monday about 6 o'clock, and we start out, first thing they do is after they're registered, is we get them on horseback. And,
awesome, yes.
Yeah. So that's fun for them. We just teach them the basics of horsemanship. And every week we'll have kids there that have their own horse or come off a ranch, and that's fun. You know, you take them where they're at. But also every week we get kids that have never been on a horse, never touched a horse. And so it's a whole new experience for them. So we start them in the arena and just teach them the basics, the fundamental principles of safety and good horsemanship, and give that to them right away on Monday. And then by Tuesday, then we have them out with their group riding. And I don't know if I answered your question. I forget where we were going.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah. And that's something I think that is really cool too, because I give riding lessons back at home and that kind of thing. And I think we take stuff for granted so easily, because we know no different. I mean, you get your horse out and, I have to brush them. I have to saddle them. I'll see how quickly I can do this so I can just hop on and go. But then when you get someone out there who they've maybe never touched a horse, they've maybe never interacted with animals, and even just looking at them, they're like in awe, like just getting to pet them and brush them. They just think it's the coolest thing in the world. And I think like it really makes you take a step back and be, wow.
Yes.
God chose me to live this life. Like, I just think it's so cool.
Right, it is. Yeah, and you had asked about the length of the camps, and so Monday through Friday, and then like I mentioned, we end with a rodeo on Fridays. But we do have 2 camps that are a little bit longer. So our Legacy 1 camp for the junior high age is actually starts on a Sunday and it goes through Saturday, so it's 2 days longer. Finish with the rodeo on Saturday, and then we have our Legacy 2 camp for the older kids that starts on Monday and it goes through the following Friday, so it's about 12 days long. But most of them are the Monday through Friday camp. We also have a little 2-day camp for 6 and 7-year-olds, just a one-night camp.
Yeah. I think that's so cool that you end it all with a rodeo. What perfect way to end it with a rodeo.
Yep.
And there's another rodeo tonight, so anyone
Right.
who's wanting to come, there's a rodeo at 7:30 tonight, so you better come out to the PRCA rodeo in the Summit Arena. Okay, so as we're kind of running out of time, I want to ask you, what is your favorite Bible verse or life verse or book in the Bible?
I have so many favorites, but I think one that stands out to me is 1 Corinthians 15:58. It says, therefore be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. And I just think of even little things that we do that we might not think of as being significant, but it's not in vain. If the Lord is in it, he can take the little tiny seed that is planted and he can make it bloom and grow and have an abundant harvest. So that's one of my favorites, and favorite book of the Bible. I love all of Paul's epistles. I love the Psalms. Right now we're reading through the Old Testament. It's hard to narrow it down. I'd say I'd go-to would be Psalms and maybe Philippians. Yeah.
Well, I want to open it up to any questions in the crowd, if there's any questions. Do we have any questions out there? And the crowd goes wild. Okay, well, thank you so much, Robin, for being here with me. It was such a joy to talk with you.
Thank you.
And yeah, make sure you guys check out the Rainbow Bible Ranch. They're right here in the rodeo zone in the Summit Arena, or not in the Summit Arena. Go to the Summit Arena for the rodeo, but come to the rodeo zone and check out the Rainbow Bible Ranch. What you guys doing are so cool. Like I said, you're not only changing kids' lives and people's lives, but you're changing their eternity.
That's right.
And there's really nothing better than that. Truly a dream job. Well,
Glory
thank
to
you, Robin,
God.
so much for being here with me and talking with me.
Thank you, Donnae. I appreciated it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.